Hello, Eli.
Hello, Heleni. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Can you see me? Because I'm not quite. Yes, you can see me. I can see myself.
Now everybody can see you.
Good. That's lovely.
I'll give you a little bit of a telltale. This is Heleni. She's our next speaker.
Hello.
And you're all here because of her.
Oh God.
Not because of me, I'm sure. Okay, some more people arriving. Let's just give it a few more minutes. We did say a little bit of arrival time, so there we go.
Yeah, let's have arrival time. I can see some faces that I know. There's Angela. Hello, Angela. Hello. And maybe hello. This is hello. From Minal. Hi. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of chats. People that I know.
Wonderful. Good to see you, Sylvia, Francesca.
Yes.
Hello, Ili.
Hello,
everyone.
Nice to see everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just want to say a few words about Heleni, because Heleni did the UK training, ECL practitioners training with Jane and I, and we had an opportunity to show, demonstrate our skills, and Heleni did one of her storytelling, and I remember I was glued to it. I was so taken by the way she holds the story and the group, and just such a wonderful skill. So she's going to be sharing with us some of that today, which I'm really excited about. And I'm sure you all will be able to take something from that. What a wonderful thing to do, to be able to tell stories, as simple as it may sound, or a wonderful gift to be able to share. So, Heleni, do you need anything to prepare, or are you ready to go?
I've just checked that everybody can hear me, and that's it. There might be a Greek contingency joining because I am Greek, and so you might see Greece coming up, which I'll be very happy to see, because I'm hoping that one day I shall abduct Eli and Jane and take them to Greece to do a bit of work over there. So let's see what happens.
We will certainly be very happy to do that.
Yeah. I'm just going to have a look at the gallery and say hello to a few more faces, and then gallery view. Okay, yeah, yes, I'm seeing, I can see a Greek face. Yeah, that's Afro Talgadidou, who is from Greece. And other people. Hi. And there's Minal that I know that we studied together ECL with.
That's right.
Yeah.
People from the ECL practitioners group.
Yeah. Angela, that was with me too.
That's right.
Lovely. So
I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yes.
I'm just going to stay in the background and look at chats. So if anyone has questions or comments or reflections, please feel free to use the chat box for that. I will convey them to Heleni, or I'm just going to voice them as we're going along when the time is right for that. Other than that, if you can all please switch off your microphones if you haven't done so yet.
Can I ask if we can record the session, please?
We are recording the sessions. All sessions are recorded.
Okay. So without further ado, let's just say a very, very big welcome. Thank you for being here. The difficulty for me was to choose what to say today, because there is so much to say, and to say it in a short amount of time is quite a skill, actually. So I'm hoping to give you an overview and at the same time give you something to take away with you. But first, I'd like to introduce myself. So, you all know my name. I am a bilingual and bicultural storyteller and teacher. I live in Britain, although my family is back in Greece. I'm a mother. I am a delighted grandmother of 2 children, and the latest is a 4-week-old baby. Haven't seen her yet because they're back in Greece. I trained as a facilitator in systemic family constellations, and I was bereft when that finished. 2 years, it was just the most amazing thing I had given myself, apart from the storytelling. So I was meeting something else in my life that had me on the edge of my chair, had me wanting more. And so a year went by, and I got told about ECL. And I literally just read, I think it was only a paragraph. And I was hooked. There was no way I wasn't going to do this training. And I went along and met Ely and Jane. And the very first day, I got something which was massive. And what I got was an understanding. Somebody said this yesterday in one of the meetings, that we cannot be as teachers, we cannot be their parents to the students. And I had given of myself a lot. And I didn't know how to hold that space where it's the space of the parents and where I stood in that world. So that was by itself, it totally blew me away. Those were the very first days as we went through the orders. So I knew that I had landed. I knew that this was coming home. Coming home when I was learning constellations was a coming home to the country. The coming home with ECL was more like coming home to my community, to where I had things to offer in terms of this work, of constellation work. And it was also, the lights went on. This is where ECL, you can meet ECL with the storytelling. They are not separate. They are just my way of using these beautiful tools and these the orders of love, as I've forgotten her name, I was speaking about yesterday. So I'd want to start. I'm not going to go through the orders because they were gone through yesterday, but I will, just for my work, to illustrate my work, go to the first one, which is belonging, which is the core need for all of us. So a while ago, there's quite a few years now, about 8-9 years ago, I was running a course in schools, and the subject of the course was the outsider. The outsider. And it was set up so that I would go into schools, into the same school for 6 consecutive weeks and see the same children for 6 consecutive weeks and work on 2 stories that illustrated, that carried the metaphors for the outsider. One was a story that was a fantasy. It was called The Green Children. And please look it up. It's The Green Children by Kevin Crosley Holland. And by all means, get in touch with me about anything that I say, and I will give you the information that you need. I'm very happy to do that. The other story was The Kinder Transport. This was about the 10,000 children that escaped from Nazi-occupied countries, from Czechoslovakia, from Austria, and they came through to England, through Holland actually, and they arrived in Harwich. And this is where the project was. It was in Harwich because we were talking about the history of that area. Now, that area is an area where there is a lot of poverty. A lot of the children were on 85% school lunch, and about over 20% were on breakfast, school breakfast, because otherwise it was a very poor area. Mainly white. And so we went into the school. I say we because it was another storyteller like myself. We run the project together. And I just want to illustrate something with how powerful stories are. I also at the same time want to say that the materials that ECL bring, the stories meet them beautifully, and they are just a plus. It only adds on top. So that's why I said I'd found what I needed to bring these two passions together. And I'm very passionate about education and children. It's been my life's work. And as a grandmother now, I'm even more fired up. So let's see what happens. Anyway, so I will talk about the first order in terms of storytelling. So as I said, we did these two stories, and there was an occasion where I was working in a classroom, and there was a child in this classroom that didn't take any part in anything. He just sort of kept himself to himself and would not engage. So I started to tell the story. This was the 4th week. The first 3 weeks we worked the first story. Last 3 weeks we worked with the second story. So in that 4th week, I started to tell the story of the Kindertransport. And in this story are 2 children who get separated. They are sent to England. They actually never see their parents again, based on a true story, but told from the point of view of 2 children in story form. So I told the story, and there is a point where after the telling of the story, the children all have to write an exercise where they're writing to their parents from England, telling them what and how they are, where they are living, describing their foster parents and all of this. So I finished telling the story, and this little boy took up pen to paper and was sitting in a corner, and he was doing something. It looked as if he was writing. His teacher went over because she wasn't really convinced that he was doing any work. But he was. And a while later, after the 35 minutes was up, that was the amount of time the kids were given, the teacher came over to me with this little boy next to her. And she was very, very moved, and I could see this. And she said, Danny has written a story. He's also written a letter, and he would like to share this. He would like to share it with you. So I took the paper, and I actually sat him next to me, and I began to look through the story. The spelling was almost as if he was writing in another language. It was very hard for me to read it, but the emotions were coming through loud and clear. This little boy had identified with the children, and he was writing to his parents. Now, later I found out that he was in his 9th foster home, that year. And this was May. His mother was an alcoholic, and she couldn't look after him. So they go out on a break. When they come back, I am to choose one of the letters. And I choose Danny's letter. There was no way I could not choose it. It was the letter that spoke for many, many reasons. This child had come forward, and I sat him next to me. The children all looked a bit perplexed. Why was I choosing Danny? He really was not the favorite of the class, and that was obvious. So I sat him next to me, and I began to read the letter. And the letter wrote to his mother, telling her that he knew that she loved him, and he knew that it was very expensive for her to come and see him. And he also knew that they would be together. It would be very soon. And when finally they did get together, they could even perhaps make a cake. That was about it. I can't remember the other details, but basically that was it. There was absolute silence while I was reading. And when I'd finished, the children in the class, his classmates, one of them began to clap, and then the others joined in. They were clapping for Danny. His head was lowered, looking down at his feet. I looked over to him, And we live in a country where we can't hug the children. And I couldn't hug him, but I could touch him gently. And I did. I lifted his chin and I looked at him and I just said, "You keep on writing." "Okay," he said. And that was the moment where I knew a seed had been planted. I don't know what happened to Danny after that, but I hope that that seed grew in him and he found where he belongs. Anyway, for that day, he belonged in that classroom, and maybe that's where the beginning of belonging began for him. I don't know. There are many, many stories I can tell you about what we did in that project and how it worked. But I really would like to leave you also with the power of story as an experience rather than just a conversation. When just a few words about the other orders, though. Exchange. Children really do understand what exchange is. They do understand fairness and the giving and the reciprocity. That's something that seems to, I don't know, seems to disappear afterwards. But when they're that age, I was working with Key Stage 2 children, which is the age 9 to 11. And time, if I say go to time, all I need to say in storytelling is once upon a time. And then we are transported into this other world. And there we look for what they did, what those who came before us did, how they managed whatever journey they were on through these journeys. And then place and natural hierarchy. Stories. In ECL, in constellation work, it's very important to know where we stand in our families, where we stand in the institutions that we work for. It's a very important part of this education. In story, there are stories where if somebody is not acknowledged, havoc is created. There's a Nordic story called Prince Lindworm, who is left unacknowledged. All hell is let loose until he finds his proper place, until he is acknowledged in his family and the king and queen acknowledge him, and then things settle. So I found so many parallels, as you can see, and that's what made me feel so excited. So I would like to share a story with you. We're going to do a little bit of an exercise before we share the story, because it's just to shift your mindset into story world, okay? And then I'm going to give you a little exercise to do after you've listened to the story. So let's see. So I do many exercises with the children because they do need help to hone in their attention. I do a lot of listening exercises. But we will do something that has more to do with us. So I'm hoping that you all know the Greek god Hephaestus. Now the Greek god Hephaestus is the smithy. He is the one that makes things. He makes things out of gold, out of silver. He really is a creator. He's very crooked and bent in himself, but the things he makes are of great beauty. And so he has made for us a chalice, a beautiful, beautiful silver bowl, and it's polished like a mirror. And I'd like you to imagine that we're sitting all together in a circle, and in the middle of that circle, there is this beautiful silver bowl with all the Greek god stories crafted in it. He was a great craftsman. And what I'd like us to do is to imagine that we write or we draw or we sing our name. And I'd like you then to throw that into that bowl, because that bowl is an alchemical bowl. Okay. So this is what, I will start, I will do it. We don't need to hear each other, but you need to hear yourself, and you do it whichever way you like, with love for your name, with boredom for your name, with excitement for it. See if you can be with your name. Just sort of be with it in whichever way it comes out. And it would be a good idea if we, before we do this, that we sort of drop our shoulders, me first, drop our shoulders, and sort of, really enjoy a nice breath through our noses. And let it out whichever way we want to let it out. Okay, and lift our shoulders and drop them and take that lovely long breath again. Okay, and then on the third breath, let's say our names in whichever way they want to come out. Let's experiment. Okay, I won't be able to hear you, but I will demonstrate my name, and let's see how it comes, how it wants to be spoken today. So, and I'm going to throw my name into the bowl and let Hephaestus's bowl alchemize all our names in there. Okay. So, Helenita. Helenaki. Helenaramu. And if you all do that, and feel your names, feel into your names. Oh, they were given to you. They were a gift. We know you by them. Okay, so that's our first exercise, just to get us into the world of story and word. So I'm going to tell you a story. And the story is called, it's a Grimm's tale. And the story is called Old Sultan. I don't have to say any more about the story because the story will speak for itself. Before I tell the story, I would like it if there was any sort of intention that you bring to this conference, this yesterday's and today's, or even just this session. If you have an intention, a question, can you see if you can tap into any sort of intention that you have, okay, that you may have, or any question that you may have, and hold it. But can you hold it lightly? Lightly. So an intention, and then we put it down so that we can be present to the story. When I finish telling the story, what I'd like us to do is to stay with whatever part of the story has spoken to you in any way, or where it has taken you, a memory. Whatever comes is yours and needs to be honored. So we stay with whatever comes our way, because that is the way, that's what came. And we say a big yes to that. I shall remind you when I've told the story. So Old Sultan. Long ago, there was a loyal old dog called Sultan. Now he had given many, many years' service to a farmer and his wife. Many years, but now he was old. His teeth had fallen out one by one, and now it was gum meeting gum. And his eyes, well, his eyes, they were sort of filmy. There was a sort of cloud over there, over his eyes. He was almost blind. One day, the farmer and his wife came in from work, and the farmer looked at his wife and he said, "Do you know what? Sultan no longer serves us. Tomorrow I shall take him out to the fields and I will shoot him." "What?" said the wife. "He has been with us since he was a pup. He has served us so well. Surely he deserves to be taken care of." The farmer looked at his wife and rolled his eyes and said, How impractical of you. Am I rich? Do I look rich to you? No, we looked after him when he served us. He had everything he needed. But now, he is no use to us. No, that's what I'm going to do. Well, for all of you, any one of you that knows anything about dogs, they will know that Old Sultan, he understood every word they said. And that night, he stepped out into the forest and went to find his old friend, the wolf, to commiserate. And the wolf said to his friend, "Oh, Sultan, don't worry. Don't worry. Listen, you know the farmer, he thinks I'm much more bloodthirsty than I really am. We'll play on his fear. This is what we're going to do. Tomorrow, you know, the farmer and his wife, they always go out and they take the baby with them, don't they?" "Yes," said Sultan. "Well, as soon as they put the baby down, I shall run over, I shall take the baby up by its collar, and I shall run off. And you, my friend, you will chase me like you did when you were a young dog. I will drop the baby, and you will be a hero." Sultan loved the strategy. And the next day, that's exactly what happened. They set off for the fields. The farmer and his wife put the baby down, and they started working. And the wolf came over very, very slowly. He crept and he picked up the baby by its collar and it ran off. Well, Old Sultan chased, and the wolf dropped the baby exactly as planned. Well, when Sultan brought the baby back, that farmer and his wife, they fell on that child and that dog with hugs and tears and kisses. And the old farmer said, "Oh, we, Sultan, we will look after you till the end of your days. You will want for nothing." And he said to his wife, "Let's stop working now and go and heat up some broth for the old dog. And while we're at it, why don't we give him a pillow to lie his old bones on?" From that day forth, the dog, Sultan, didn't need a thing. He had everything he could possibly need. One day, his friend the wolf came to visit him. And he said to him, "Hey, wasn't that a great strategy?" And Sultan said, "Yeah, it was a great strategy." And they talked about how well it had gone. And then the wolf said to Sultan, "We are good friends, aren't we?" "Yes," said Sultan, "great friends." "Well, what about, I scratch your back and you scratch mine?" "I say," said the wolf, "that what if I went after one of the farmer's sheep? How'd you look the other way, yes?" And Sultan said, I can't, I can't really scratch your back by letting down my master." Well, the wolf was furious. He stormed off, and as he left, he said, "You'll be hearing from me." All night long, the wolf stewed over the conversation he'd had with Sultan. And in the morning, he sent over his friend the boar to invite Sultan to a challenge in the forest that night. Poor old Sultan, he didn't have anybody to go with him, except the farm cat who was missing a leg. But they set off. And as they walked, the cat walked next to Sultan, and because it only had 3 legs, it was jumping up and down as it went along. It was so afraid, the cat, that his tail stuck up in the air, straight up in the air like this. And in the moonlight, from far away, it looked as if Sultan was coming towards where the wolf was, carrying a sword. The wolf turned to the boar and said, "How harsh was your challenge?" "Not that harsh," said the boar, but he was so afraid he hid behind the bushes. And the wolf, feeling foolish, he climbed up the tree. And when they arrived at the designated area, there was nobody there. But the cat saw something sticking up from the bushes. He thought it was a mouse, and he pounced and he bit down hard. And the boar screamed, "I've no problem with you. It's not me that wants trouble. It's him up there in the tree." And the cat and Sultan looked up into the tree, and there was the wolf. And the wolf felt really foolish. And he came down off the tree and he said to Sultan, "Sultan, we've been friends for a long time. Maybe we could be friends again and not let this problem divide us." Well, Sultan, he agreed. And he looked at his friend and he nodded. And you know something? To this very day, Sultan and the wolf are still friends. So that is the story that I wanted to share with you today. And I'd like to see where that story takes you. Where does it resonate with you? And I'm just going to give you a moment, and you can either draw something, write something down, or just stay with whatever the image is from the story. I'll just hold it for a while and maybe breathe into the image, maybe sort of let it. And if we were in a room together, we could go, you could do this by yourselves. You can imagine a circle, and in that circle is the field of the story, and where you would stand on which part of the story. And I'm just going to give you one more minute, and then I'm going to go through the threshold of the story, just to remind you, just to help you a little bit if you need it. Can you all see my screen? Can you see my screen?
You are not sharing your screen yet, Heleni.
I'm not. Okay, share screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not sharing. You want me to share it?
Let's try again. Let me see if I can just try one more time. Because it's here, it's in my, do I bring the document up and then share it? Is that what I do?
Well, you need to go to the bottom of your Zoom screen.
Yes, yeah.
Go to screen share.
Yeah, I can see that, screen share. Yeah, I'm there, I've done it. And now I go to what I want to share. Is that right?
Hold on a minute, screen share, Heleni.
Is it there?
That's sharing my screen, sorry.
Oh, it's very strange because I am sharing it. So it says share and share screen. There you go, share screen. And then I've got there. I can actually see
now,
it.
now you are sharing it.
Ah, there you are.
Full screen view of the PowerPoint.
Shall I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay, guys. So this is just to jog your memory of the different parts of the story. Usually, when I am doing this, you tell me. Okay, so I elicit from you the different parts of the story. But because we don't have a lot of time, I thought I'd do it for you just to remind you. Okay, so if I go to the very first, number 2, there was a dog and he was very old. That's the part where he's very old and they want to do away with him. This is the part where he doesn't pay his weight anymore. This is where he's snoozing in the corner and he understands everything they've said. And okay, it's when, oops. So it's what happens with the wolf and how he supposedly saves the baby. Then his friends visit, asking him to scratch his back. Look the other way while he takes the sheep. It is Sultan saying he can't betray his master by looking the other way. This is the wolf getting really angry with him and challenging him. This is where the wolf sees Sultan, part where he's coming through and he thinks that the cat's tail is a sword. And this is where the wolf really does feel foolish. And he comes down and there is reconciliation. Old Sultan agrees. So really, 12 different parts of the story. So this is what I'm hoping that you can come to, and you can join step into the field of the story, because it's like we've created a story and we've laid it in the middle. We've actually put it all around the bowl with all our names in it, and around it are all these different parts of the story. And I'm asking you to go and stand in any part and see if that story, be curious about where that part of the story could take you, like Ariadne's thread, that you take anything, an image or a sound, a smell, a taste of the story, and just follow it for a few minutes. And then I'd like to put you, I'd like to ask Eli to put you into different rooms in pairs and give you a few minutes, maybe 3 minutes each. I'll give you 6 minutes, 3 minutes each, to have a little chat about this. Is that okay, Eli?
Yes, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
So we have 2 to 3 people in a room.
Yes, that's fine.
It's going to be 12 rooms, and you're all going to be divided between them.
I'm going to recommend, this is Allison, sorry. You might want to do 3 people, because sometimes we're finding in the other room that sometimes people are unable to participate in the breakout rooms, and we don't want people to be alone.
Okay,
Yes.
we have 3 people in a room.
Okay.
A minute.
So shall we give it an extra minute then, because there's 3 people need to speak? Shall we give them 7 minutes instead of 6?
We give them, okay, we can extend the time. Let me know as much time as you need in the chat, Heleni, okay? So
Okay, yeah.
we're gonna go into rooms now, and then when time is out, you will have a message in your room. So we see you in a few minutes. Enjoy. Hello.
What a nice drawing.
Oh, there's Eli.
Hello, Eli.
Hi there.
Hi, Eli. I'm sharing my little drawing.
Beautiful. Wow. The wolf and the dog. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sort of reminded me at the the beginning they were friends, and at the end they were friends. And there's this upheaval in the middle.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Great. Do you want to tell us more about it?
It just I just liked that they found resolution, even through all the upheaval they went through. And wolves are not very predictable, and usually they follow their instincts. And I'm not really sure if they can be that easily persuaded. But I guess this one did. I think that's all I want to share.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You see that you want to share something from your experience? I was just hosting and taking care of the background, so I wasn't really making the drawing myself. I'm sorry, but I'd love to hear from you.
Well, nice seeing you. I'll take up your invitation. Well, my mind skipped a bit. She said the sentence, "Have you had a dog?" Just so you know. And then my heart made a jump because I lost 2 dogs in my life and they were my big friends. Especially when I took walks in the woods when I was a young girl. So that put it together for me.
Mm.
And then she said the bit when the dog Sultan was thinking about who is going to help me in this situation, who is there to be found to accompany me to the wood, to the wolf. And then he found the cat. And it made me happy because I thought that's what often occurs, that you find someone that you didn't think of before. They weren't in your mind, and that are the presence of life. It comes to you. So that's what touched me in this story.
Right.
Yes.
Beautiful. I would like to say something before we finish because we have a few seconds. I didn't make the drawing, but it brought something. It reminded me something that I've learned a while ago, and it is that pets are teaching us about death. From what you said really reminded me that it's as children, if we have one around us, lucky enough to have one around us or more, we really learn something quite profound from them in the way of experiencing death, mostly for the first time in that sort of age. So yeah, profound teachers.
Yes. Thank you,
thank you.
Eli.
Thank you, Josita and Elma.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the main room just to make sure that everything is still there.
Sure.
Okay, see you later.
I will
Bye-bye.
see you with the group. You have a few more minutes to, if you want to continue your conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Okay.
As creating a structure for the students to have more say in what's happening in the school environment. Is that the same?
Yeah, in principle it says
Yeah. All right, here's the chat. Can you read it? I can't read it on my phone.
Oh, let's see. Oh, I saw something.
Maybe we're both on our phones. It's hard to see.
I was very upset if something will happen to the child when the wolf took her.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Page 2.
Yes.
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 So, yeah. So,
Good.
what's your
Thank
name?
you.
Because you've got Peter.
And no, it says Peter because my email's Peter and Paula. Peter and Paula, but I'm Paula.
You're
Actually.
Paula. Okay. All right.
Paula.
Where are you? Where are you, Paula?
I'm in Johannesburg.
Oh yeah, you're in South Africa.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely. If you want to know more, please drop me a line. And there is one of my teachers actually comes to South Africa and teaches. She teaches storytelling in the community.
Yes.
So,
Sorry to interrupt, Peter, Paul, and Heleni. I'm sorry to interrupt your conversation.
Okay,
I just want to check with Heleni whether she wants to extend or you want to come back to the big meeting.
Do you know what? I think I should give them. Can you just give them another 2 minutes, please, Eli?
Yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yes. Okay. And I also want to now. What do I do to get rid of the PowerPoint? I just close it. Yeah. Oh,
yeah, you just close your presentation. Yes. Stop. It's called stop screen share.
Yeah, got it. Found it. Good. Okay. I'm going to gallery view. Okay. Oh, I've got you.
Okay, I'm going to close the rooms in 1 minute, yeah?
Okay. I had a chance to talk over the story myself with Paula. With Paula here. She's got Peter written there. That's why it's confusing you.
Hello, everybody. Just a couple of rooms are still finishing off, so we gave them another couple of minutes. So it's just another minute from now, and we're going to be going back to the session with Heleni. How is everybody doing?
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing well. Didn't hear the whole of the story. That's why I exited the breakout room. Very sorry. I just needed to get out.
Okay.
I was so uncomfortable.
All right. Yeah, Heleni's stories always makes me cry. So
it was lovely listening to Heleni for me. Very lovely.
A bit of crying just now. It's wonderful. Okay, I'm going to close the rooms for them so they can find their way back to us. Okay. Okay, here we are. Right, welcome back. I'm going to bring you back to Heleni. Heleni, are you there?
Mute. I'm unmuting myself. There I am.
Unmute yourself. That's a good. That'll be very good.
That's a good. So, yeah. So, to ask you how was that when you're muted is not fair, to say the least. Okay. Is there anyone who really has something to share, that really wants to share, that was really, this was an exercise that something really came up and they would like to share it? There is a way of doing it. I think if you can just put your hand up like this, Eli will probably see you. Or if there's another way, Eli, just tell me.
Better if somebody's got a question to put it on the chat, because we have a few pages. There's 32 of you now, and I can't see all of them and all of you at the same time. So just put it in the chat and I'll convey it.
Okay.
To Heleni. And Heleni, I must say that every time you tell your stories, I always find myself crying. So today was no different, and I thank you for that. You connect me with something very precious in myself.
Oh, really, that's so good.
And very young.
Yes. There was somebody who shared with me the other day, Ili, this, and I really like it. I'll share that because you've just reminded me. He said, take a picture of when, find a picture of when you were really young and look at it. That is who you truly are.
That's beautiful.
I like that very much. And you just reminded me of that. Okay, love to meet you. Sorry, said that right. Okay. There's somebody who's trying to do something. Nina, Frank, there. Do you want to so you're supposed to write in the chat if you want to share something.
If you want to, share something or ask something.
Yes.
That's right. Or if you want to just start your microphone and start speaking, it will bring you to the front page actually. So if you want to share something or say something, put your mic on and start talking. We will see you coming up actually.
Okay.
Just realize that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say a big thank you to Heleni. Storytelling is such a powerful way to go with this work, and I'm sure that all of us got something to think about, to see different, and to get some insight, definitely. So thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you very much. Somebody said something about divided loyalties. Somebody posted in the chat box something about they talked about divided loyalties.
I can find it.
I think that was me.
Where are you? Where are you? You?
Ali, over
hello,
here.
hello, you. Hello, Riley.
Yeah, well, we talked about the divided loyalty. So what if Sultan had decided to go with the wolf's idea because he felt more loyal to his friendship with the wolf than he did with the master who was prepared to give him up. So we talked about how for teenagers particularly, this is something they quite often grapple with, and how good it would to share the story with adolescents. I think that was Minna's idea. How brilliant that would be a good vehicle for sharing that, about how do we make the right decisions, and about how power is used in relationships, and is that loyalty done through power or through through fear or through genuine friendship. And
Well, I want to just share with you what happens in the classroom when this particular story is told. It really is the values of the children, what they bring, and you will have children who are adamant that the dog should look the other way. Okay, look the other way, because if it hadn't been for him, he would have been shot. Okay, so a life and death thing. should look the other way. And then the other half, or maybe not a half, the others will say things like, no, he asked too much. He asked for too much. Okay. And there is that concept of asking, of yes, there's not right or wrong here. They have their views. And it's an absolutely wonderful story to bring up this sort of conversations. And as you said, teenagers, wow, yeah, you've really got something, given them something to chew on there, because you can go through the whole thing of, you know, gangs, for example, you know, where they're loyal to the gang leader, and that's stronger in adolescence. That can be much stronger than their families and the family values. And so absolutely, there's a lot to be said there. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? We have actually 5 minutes, so it'd be nice for you to use this time to ask questions if you wish.
Minal is asking something.
Is
she's stating something.
She's stating something, even better.
An insight into the order of exchange. Beautiful.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Minal. Thank you.
Complete loyalties, exchange, giving and receiving.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if nobody else has any questions, I just want to go through just a few things that come up. You know, of course, this is virtual, and we do not have the energy of being together in a room. And storytelling is a community thing, and I can't wait to get back to telling stories in my community and with people in a room. It's very strange for me to tell stories like this, but we adapt and we do the best we can. So I just want to go through just a few of the things that this story actually touches on. So animals as helpers and teachers. The more the human world, the more than human world. Old Sultan is more than a watchdog. He is as sensitive as any human. He's full of feeling and loyalty. He has friendships and an inner life. No one who has cats, birds, and other creatures would deny this level of their reality. The tale reminds us to regard the non-human creatures of the world as full beings in their own right, and thus perhaps extend to them the gratitude and generosity and loving kindness they deserve. Loyalty. Today, we often wonder if lifelong loyalty is a thing of the past. The very concept of loyalty comes into question as we change jobs, careers, residences, spouses, football teams. This tale reminds us that we cannot be practical and mercenary about everything. Some bonds need to be honored for life. Relationships that no longer serve a practical purpose might still be crucial to the heart and soul. So, letting go. This tale can be heartening to people stuck in a power struggle. It illustrates how powerful another can seem when they are in conflict, and it reminds us that their sword might not be as menacing as it seems. The tale also points to embarrassing positions we can all wind up in. It illustrates how to back down after having made excessive demands, how to let go, how to extend forgiveness, and how to make up after a quarrel. Very important for children to know, and for us, how to make up after a quarrel. So thank you so very, very much. We are coming to the end because I can see my clock actually. And I'm very, very proud of the fact that I managed to get my session in the time that I was allowed. That's really, I've managed time. Yes, yes.
The
So,
order of time.
the order of time. Thank you, Ili. So yes, ECL and storytelling, they can be together.
Absolutely.
Really, really well.
Absolutely.
So lovely. So
well,
thank you.
There's going to be a training in London starting in June. Got 2 modules, one in June, one in July, and Heleni will be a special guest offering a skill, part of the ECL practitioners training. She'll be teaching from her modality, from her ability and skill and gift. If she mentioned the training that she did herself, I'm going to put for all of you in the chat box now the link for more information about the training program and some of the highlights of what we will be covering. But it gives you all the tools that you need in order to start practicing, whether it is in a context of working with young people or with educators or with parents. And it's coming up in the chat for you right now. And at 5:30 this afternoon, I'll be making a short presentation as part of the open space. And you can see all the details on the open space segment in the website, in the conference website. I'll be telling more about what we do in the practitioners training and what are the options for taking your skills in systemic constellations and converting them or adding more tools to them so you can take the work into different realms and increase the potential market for yourselves as operators in the field. So thank you very much again, Heleni. It was absolutely beautiful. I always deeply, deeply moved by your storytelling and by your presence and beautiful